All right, so this is going to be the most honest review about OpenAI's new AgentKit, Agent Builder, that is available on YouTube right now. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't want to have to do this video. Unfortunately, there is a lot of clickbait, a lot of misinformation being peddled by a lot of so-called experts here on YouTube that is forcing me to come out and do this video. Because I want you guys to understand the difference between something like N8N and this new Agent Builder, because I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is. It's people on YouTube who are constantly trying to be first. They're constantly trying to be the one who gets clicks and gets views, even if they're being incredibly dishonest in their thumbnails. I mean, I watched one guy literally 2 hours after the release of the OpenAI kit, the Agent Kit. The guy had a video out that said, OpenAI Agent Kit for beginners. It's like, well, no kidding, dude. You're a beginner too, because nobody saw this before an hour before you posted this video. It's that kind of stuff that really bothers me. And the truth is, you cannot compare Agent Builder with something like N8N because they're not the same thing. It says so right here. It says, build a chat agent workflow with custom logic and tools. And it's this chat agent part that I think people don't understand. So let's think, when they designed this, they designed it for a very specific purpose. And frankly, it's not very robust and it's not very useful unless you are a developer who is already using some sort of application or program or widget, and you want to incorporate artificial intelligence into that process, right? If you're a normal business owner who is trying to use AI processes in order to speed up your workflow and speed up your processes, increase productivity with the people who work for you, this is not for you, okay? If you want to do something like this, so this is I say real simple, but this is a great example of the difference between what Agent Builder does and what something like N8N can do. N8N is a workflow builder, and it is relatively, it's node-based, and it's relatively streamlined. So we can do some things where AI agents think. So in this case, what I've got is on a trigger, on a schedule, on a every day, I go out and I pull RSS feeds from 3 different locations. I take the information from the most recent information in the last 24 hours. I parse that data and then I send it to an AI and I say, hey, write me some LinkedIn posts based on these articles and the RSS feeds that I gave you. Basically, give me a summary of some of the hottest news in a specific subject. You do it for any topic. And then we can schedule either on a regular rotation throughout the day or maybe once a week, whatever we want to do. We can create a blog post for LinkedIn and have that posted. Okay, that's what this does. That is completely different than what the Agent Builder does. So if I come in here, the first thing that you'll notice is that it looks really streamlined. Okay, so but when we start out, all you have is a start. You don't have any of the things that you have in N8N over here where I can go to triggers and I can trigger based on an application. I can trigger based on an email that came in. I can trigger based off of a Telegram or a Slack post that I make, right? I can trigger workflows based on that. You don't have that in Agent Builder because Agent Builder is completely based on chat. Every single interaction that you have will be based on a chat. Now, there is some stuff that you can do in here because I know some of you are watching this. You're like, no, Jason, you could use the MCP server. You could do that, and you could have it go and call out to email, and you could do a whole bunch of other stuff. But that requires you to use an entirely different program like N8N to create a special MCP server in order to send that data to. And I know I'm talking over a lot of people's heads here, but if you're wondering why this is so difficult, it's because what they have built for developers is something that is very specific for chat. So for example, when we start a chat, so we went into preview here, we can type something into the chat and that will be sent to the AI agent. Okay. And that AI agent has a lot of tools. And I'll tell you right now, this is pretty interesting. I do like the way that they've done this. So All this stuff that you would normally see. So if we go to a basic, let's just go with a basic website chat widget like this, okay? So when someone puts a question into the chat, goes to the AI agent, and then the AI agent has some memory, it has access to my email, and it has access to a database, a RAG, a vector database, where it can go and look for the answers to questions that are being asked, okay? AI agents inside of OpenAI's AI kit, that happens all inside of the side panel. So instead of having all this stuff down here, all this stuff is actually inside the agent. So if I look in here, I've got my model, so I can use ChatGPT-5 or any of the other GPT agents. I can't use anything else. So I can't use Anthropic. I can't use whatever it is, DeepSeek. I can't use any of that stuff. I've got to just use the models that OpenAI offers. Then we also have tools. And this is really cool too. So again, it's not all bad. It's just not what people are claiming it is. So if I come in here and I go into tools, I can do a lot of things. I can create a client. I can create an MCP server, right? So if I want to connect to my email or my calendar or my Google Drive or any of that kind of stuff, I've got a handful, maybe a Shopify account if I've got a big account there, or if I've got a big online store, I can do that. But even if I click into Gmail, the only things I can do is search for messages and read recent messages. This AI agent can't craft emails for me. It can't send an email if there's a request from a user to somebody else on the team. All it can do is basically look through your emails and search them and read your stuff. So very limited in its functionality at this point. And OpenAI may expand on that. We may see that come as to fruition as we get closer to, or as we get deeper into the development cycle of this product. But right now, you can't do a lot with these sort of what is considered an API connection. MCP is basically a way for AI agents to talk to each other, okay? We've got file search and web search. So this is nice. I don't have to like call out to the web search. I can just literally say, hey, I want to do a web search, and I can give it some information on sites it can go to. I can give it countries and regions and things like that. So that's kind of cool. And then this file search thing is really powerful. Okay. So what we can do is we can take any file that we want to, and we can go on, and it's automatically going to vectorize that information into a vector database that we can access. So if you work in N8N at all, you know that in order to accomplish something similar to that is you have to build out your own sort of database. You have to go with Supabase, you have to go with Pinecone, and you kind of have to design your own database and figure out how to do all of that. It's been simplified inside of OpenAI's Agent Builder. And so if I go in here and I find, let me just see if I can get into my vector store here. And well, we'll just go ahead and upload a file. So I take a file here. I just find one. Let me just go find one of my documents. Let's just find literally anything that we can upload here. That'll be fun. All right. So we're going to add that, and we're just going to click attach. And then it's just going to attach that file. It's going to vectorize all that information. And now the AI agent is going to have access to it once you're communicating. So this is great if you have a chat widget on your website that people are coming to and they're asking questions about your product or your service and timelines and things like that. Problem is the AI agent can't do much except respond, okay? And if we go into some of the other tools, we have a code interpreter, which if you don't know how to code is not going to be valuable. You've got a functions thing in here and another custom feature here that I haven't played around with too much. And then as we scroll down, we've got output format. So we can output in text, in JSON, or in a widget. And this is what the chat kit comes with. And if we go with the widget, we can actually come in here and look at widgets. We can create our own if you're capable of doing that. Or you can come in and they've got some pre-built widgets in here. But again, this is so basic. Like, who's going to build an AI agent that will tell them the weather, right? Who's going to build an AI agent that's going to find them a flight? Right? In theory, it's cool. Oh, you can do that. Oh, here, let's go a fancy way to show my calendar. All right. But in reality, are you really going to be using this stuff, or are these just really examples of things that you can build if you have the know-how and the knowledge, right? That's really more of what we're talking about here. So not a big chance that anybody's going to be building with the current widgets. It's just there for show. And then down in here, we've got some other things that are not going to be interesting to anybody who doesn't know how to code or how to develop software. Okay. Now, there's another feature in here that's actually kind of nice as well, just to give you the pros before we talk about the cons, is that we have this Guardrails feature, and this is really cool. So prompt injection is a serious problem right now in getting AI hacked. So if you place an AI anywhere in your workflow that someone else can find a way to access, they can potentially put what they call prompt injection into the questions they ask in order to get the AI to feed them information that they're not supposed to be given. Okay. And so what OpenAI has done is created this Guardrails function where you can turn on a bunch of these jailbreaks, hallucinations, all of this stuff, and you can then modify sort of, okay, what sort of personal identification guardrails do I want to put into place, right? So names, phone numbers, that kind of stuff. And this is pretty cool. And also hallucinations. So you can decide how much, and you can decide inside, I guess you got to put this into a vector store. But the downside is you don't really understand what's happening. So the jailbreak guardrail is running ChatGPT 4.1 mini. I'm assuming that's what you should use because that's what the default is. And then you have this confidence threshold, and I haven't read through all the documentation here, but it's not real clear how they're doing that or how you would need to set that up. And it makes sense. Part of that makes sense because, of course, if you've got prompt injection protection, man, that's a mouthful. You don't necessarily want to be telling everybody how you're doing that protection because as soon as you do, somebody's going to find a way around it or find a way to beat it. But what this does is it gives you a way for you to create some protection on the front end. And that's really nice if you have a website. Say, for example, let's say that you have a big shop, a big online store. And people are coming to you and they're talking with the agent and they're saying, hey, I placed an order. Here's the order number. Can you tell me when it's going to be arrived? Can you tell me what address it's shipping to? Can you give me the tracking information, right? What you don't want is you don't want the AI giving that information to somebody who shouldn't have it. And so in that case, having these guardrails up is an initial protection for your agent that prevents that sort of stuff from leaking. That's not something that you can do easily inside of N8N, okay? But here's the bigger problem with this, is let's say we've got this little AI widget and it now has some information and I want to put this chat widget on my website. How do I do that? Well, in order to do that, you're going to have a little bit of coding knowledge. So if I say new widget, we click publish here. It's now published and I can go and get some of the code. I got a chat kit or I've got an SDK, but if you don't know how to code and if you don't have something built that you can put this into, this is not valuable for you. This is designed for one specific purpose. It is not a general use workflow builder that can incorporate AI like N8N can. It is built for developers so that they can quickly iterate and build out chat applications to go with their current technology stack, right? It is not for regular business owners. It's not for people who are building very customized solutions inside of their business to automate and to improve productivity in their business. It's simply designed for creating chat widgets. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm not saying that N8N is better than the builder. I think it is. Well, so I guess I am saying that, right? I guess I am. What I'm saying is N8N is a very versatile platform that connects with hundreds and hundreds of applications. I mean, pretty much anything that you would want to connect with, there is a dedicated node inside of N8N to do that. Agent Builder, you got none of that. You can try and put something together yourself. You can try and build out custom, like you can't even do HTTP calls from what I can tell. You can just do MCP calls. And there are a very limited number of those that you can do right now. As I said before, we got Google, we got Outlook, we've got Zapier. And what's crazy to me, this is what I don't understand. if I'm using something like N8N or I'm using something like an agent builder, I'm doing that because I don't want to use Zapier. Why would I want to connect to Zapier and go down that rabbit hole and be spending thousands of dollars a month on Zapier connections just to make my agent work? Why would I not just come over here and build the agent and have it customized to exactly what I want it to do? And I know for some people, they look at this and they say, oh, this is so much simpler. It's less scary because all of the stuff I can do is just right here. And it's just simple if else and while commands, right? But in reality, this is very limiting if you do not have any sort of infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure to the non-developer person, I mean you don't have another code base to plug something like this into. It's just not very valuable. So again, for the majority of the people who watch my videos, you are going to be far happier if you're spending time developing and building in N8N rather than messing around with OpenAI. So if you liked the video, like and subscribe and share, and I'll talk to you soon.